Crystal, it's good to have you back. I do remember you. We have had a lot of night dwellers returning lately, and I love you all. Welcome back. Hey, Leslie Marie. We should have new stickers. Let's go ahead and start using those. Hello, Lulu. 4 minutes. If you haven't reposted, please do. If you haven't shared, please do. If everyone in here, all 35, would just share it and repost it, amazing things would happen. Oh my goodness. You'll have to tell it sometime. Hey, Sandy's mama. Hey, Renee. And if you don't know how to repost or how to share, one of my night dwellers would, one of my night watchers or night dwellers would be happy to give you instructions on how to do that. I saw quite a few that said they didn't know how. There's so many ways that you can help this live and not give 1 cent. What am I doing? Aren't they pretty? Look at those hearts. I'm talking to Citrine, by the way. Hello, Diana. I am tapping the screen. Leave my hair alone. Hello, Debbie. Welcome. Yeah. She's a good cat. Got herself in a calendar, no less. She's going to be the month of June. Thank you so much for the shares. Thank you for the post. Oh, another thing that I wanted to make sure that I tell everyone about. Let me see if I can find it. I would like to make an announcement. If all of my night watchers could please, my night dwellers could please follow Julie, Kimmy, X, and myself. And please set all of your notifications to all so you miss no notifications. That way, they shouldn't have to mention like 30 people on one video if notifications are set. So just make sure that they are set to all. And then everybody will get the fantastic videos that everyone just absolutely loves. Julie slays it, Kimmy slays it, X slays it, and then, you know, I do what I do. But thank you so much. It's very important that all of our night watchers, night dwellers, sorry, are seeing all of our content. So key. I'm so glad you love them. So glad. Yours is said, Gordon. Thank you so much. Hey, Goddess Lovely. How are you? Who is ready for Crimson Queen? Not Crimson Queen, Cherry Hill. I get them mixed up. They both start with the C. They are extremely talented. If you think that it's just like a 1 minute deal, you could not be further from it, because I know when I'm making a video, because I am so freaking particular about everything. I mean, I'm picky down to the very color of the video, the font, all of it. So everything has to be right. So they deserve a massive shout out. Isn't that right, Citri? Hey, Lulu. Now you're gonna hop down. Okay, Sandy. So let's share, share, share. Post to your story. Hey, Carol. I have to hear this one. I just love it. It's wavy. It's very wavy, and my daughter, she has very curly hair. So mine is wavy and annoying and will not cooperate with me, and I have always hated it. Lulu, thank you for becoming a title gifter for 50 times. So glad. Glad you love the stories. Did I see something about? I thought I saw something about a birthday. Maybe not. Carol, your birthday is in December. 41 people in here. Very nice. Thank you. June? Okay, mine is in July. Hello over there in the white channel. We're starting to grow over there, guys. I know it, Kimmy. I hope you had a great birthday. Hello, hunk of Mark Chocolate. I love your name. I love these usernames. They're great. Welcome to Twisted Tales Live. I am your host, Bryn Morgan. I'm also a horror author, and tonight I am sharing my work of Cherry Hill. What a journey. What a journey indeed. We do things differently here than we do on Paranormal Files Live. This is more dramatic, this is dark fiction, this is dark romance, it is everything kind of mixed into one. If you've been following the story of Cherry Hill, then you know what it's about. It is about a young woman, Maggie Drake, whose life has literally just fallen apart. A famous author, brutally attacked one night, and just her life just continually went downhill from that point. The road took her to Cherry Hill, North Carolina, and she discovered there that she was not who she thought she had been, but that she was adopted. and that her birth mother was Aileen McLeod, that was a part of a very powerful witch coven in the Black Pass. She also has now discovered that her father Marcus was also a white warlock in the same area. So now she is discovering these powers that she has. She doesn't know how to control them. She doesn't know who she can trust. And she has vines, antlers, growing up her chest and her neck. When we left last week, she was in the process of practicing because on Samhain, she is destined to meet the Nafrith Julter, who has plans of his own. Did I describe that right? Exactly, Maggie. I love that name. But we have a way of how we do story time here, don't we? Lower your lights. Lock your doors. Light a candle for ambiance. Pull your curtains nice and tight. Wrap yourself in your warmest blanket to avoid the chills that are about to crawl up your spine. And let's begin. Maggie woke to bird song and the smell of wood smoke. For a moment, just one blissful moment, she didn't remember where she was or what was happening. She was just warm and comfortable, wrapped in blankets under an open sky. Then, as it always does, memory crashed back. The sweat lodge, the pain, the darkness being expelled from her body, the sacred blue paint on her face. Maggie sat up carefully, her muscles protesting. The training had been rigorous. The sweat lodge, so hot that she could barely breathe. Her entire body ached, like she'd been beaten. But her mind felt clearer than it had in days. The constant whisper of the Nafrith Chulter was gone. The pull at her chest was still there, though. The mating bond couldn't be broken, but it was muted, distant, like trying to hear someone calling from very far away instead of shouting directly in her ear. Then she noticed a shadow standing just outside of the tent. Good morning. Ayita walked in. She had been tending a small fire. The elder woman looked like she hadn't slept at all, but her eyes were bright and alert. How do you feel? Ayita asked. Maggie tested herself, her shoulders, her arms, her neck. sore, weak. Maggie touched her face, felt the dried blue paint on her forehead, on her cheeks. But better, clearer somehow. The pain is working, drawing out the darkness slowly. You'll need to reapply it each night, but it will help. Aita poured something into a wooden cup and handed it to Maggie. Drink. It's tea. It will give you strength for your remaining days of training. What other training can I possibly go through? I've learned shadow magic, blood magic. What else am I supposed to learn? You will see. The tea was bitter and earthy, but Maggie drank it gratefully. Almost immediately, she began to feel a warmth spreading through her body. Not the burning heat of the Nefrith Chultir's mark, but something gentler, healing. She finished it up, and Aita reached for the cup. The others aren't preparing, Aita said. Today's training will be harder, Maggie. Harder. Yesterday we taught you to connect, to ground, to protect. Today, her expression grows serious. Today, we teach you to fight. What was all the other stuff that I did? I can barely move. I'm so sore. It must be done. By the time that the sun was fully up, all the women had gathered in the field. Inez brought Maggie breakfast, eggs and bread and fruit in a bowl, and watched anxiously as Maggie ate. The remaining witches and the medicine women watched. You look better, Inez said. The paint, it's working, I guess. I think so. I slept. Actually, slept. I haven't slept in days. No dreams. No him. Maggie touched the blue marks on her face again. I feel like myself again, or at least closer to myself. That's good. That's really good, Max. But Inez's voice was tight with worry. What's happening to you today? I saw them stringing ropes up between two massive trees. What are they gonna do? I don't know. I know that Aita said something about combat training. Maggie set down her bowl. Learning to fight. Against what? Each other? I don't know. But she was about to find out. Nacha stood at the center of the field, and when she saw Maggie approaching, she smiled. That fierce warrior smile that promised pain and glory in equal measure. Are you ready, Maggie Drake? I don't know, Maggie said honestly. Am I? Only time will tell. Uncertainty keeps you sharp. Overconfidence gets you killed. Nacha gestures to the open field. Yesterday you learned to shield, to protect yourself. But protection is passive, defensive, and you cannot defeat the Nefrith Chultir or his coven by hiding behind a wall. She began to walk in a slow circle around Maggie. You must learn to attack, to strike, to use your power as a weapon. Her eyes gleamed. You must learn to hurt, to maim, to unalive, if necessary. The word hung in the air. Unalive. I don't want to unalive anyone, Maggie said. No? Natcha stopped in front of her. You don't want to unalive anyone, Maggie Drake? What about the witches in the coven? What about the ones who are going to come and take you on Samhain? What about the ones who have been taking children for him? The ones who will try to drag you to the altar on Samhain. They're going to pick you up and drag you across the Black Pass. And they're going to drop you right in front of the Nefrith Choltir. And you're just going to let them do it? Because you don't want to unalive anyone. Will you let them take you because you don't want to hurt them? What about him? Natcha's voice was sharp. When you face the Nefrith Choltir, and you will, when you stand before a being of pure darkness, who has had no issue with murdering thousands of children through the centuries, will you hesitate? Because you don't want to unalive him. Maggie said nothing. Your kindness will get you unalived, Maggie Drake. Natcha said bluntly. Your mercy will get you claimed. Your hesitation will doom every child he takes from now to the end of time. She stepped back and raised her hands. So today, you will learn to be a warrior. You will learn to set aside mercy and embrace violence. You learn that sometimes to protect what you love, you must be willing to destroy what threatens it. Power gathered in Natcha's hands, golden and crackling like lightning giving form. Remember what I taught you yesterday? Yes. Show me. Create a weapon, she commanded. Any weapon. Make it from your blood. Make it from light and shadow, both. I don't care. Just make something that can hurt me. Maggie hesitated. Natcha handed her a blade. Now! Maggie took the blade and poked her finger. Do you honestly think that you're going to be able to create enough blood to make a weapon? This is blood magic, Maggie. Maggie took the blade again, and this time she was highly aggravated at Natcha. She took it and ran it across her palm. The blood began to pool, bright and red. Now, make a weapon. Maggie tried. It came more easily than yesterday, more naturally. At first, it was just an orb of blood floating above her palm, and then it began to raise. Now tell me what you see. A staff. I imagine a staff. It was simple. It was defensive. It was something that she could use to block without having to strike. She didn't want to strike. And right there, it materialized in her hand. A staff made of that opalescent light and shadow combination, solid and real, thrumming with power. Nacha rolled her eyes. A staff. Of any weapon that you could create, you create a staff. Are you planning on guarding sheep? It's what I did. I want to use it. Very well. A staff that was made and thrumming with power. It's so predictable, though. You won't be able to use a staff within the Freetier or his coven. Remember, they know blood magic, too. And with that, Nacha attacked. The golden lighting in her hands formed a whip, and she lashed out faster than Maggie could track. The whip struck Maggie's shoulder, and pain exploded through her upper body. Not just physical pain, spiritual pain, like the attack had touched something deeper than flesh. Maggie winced and stumbled backward, gasping. Defend yourself, Maggie! Nacha commanded, striking again. This time, Maggie raised the stab and blocked the whip. The weapons collided with a crack that echoed across the field. Better, but you're only defending. You're not fighting back. Another strike, another block. What happens when I'm faster than you, Maggie? Stronger, when I break through your defense. Strike, block, strike, block. I'll tell you what will happen, Maggie Drake. You'll die. You'll die because you're too afraid to hurt me. I have no problem hurting you. And I will hurt you if you don't fight me. Billy, Chloe, and Inez watched from a distance. Inez felt stress building in the pit of her stomach. And then Nacha's whip wrapped around Maggie's staff and yanked it from her hands. The staff dissolved into mist, and Maggie stood defenseless. Nacha's whip cracked toward her face, and Maggie reacted. Without thinking, without planning, she thrust her hand forward, and power erupted from her palm. Not a staff, not something defensive, a blade. A sword made of starlight and shadow, sharp and deadly, appearing in her hand, fully formed, and Maggie swung. The blade cut through Nacha's whip like it was paper, dissolving it instantly, and kept going, kept arcing toward Nacha's throat. Maggie saw it happening in slow motion, saw the blade she created, her blade, her power, her will made manifest, about to cut through flesh and bone, about to unalive Nacha. She yanked it back at the last second, stumbling, the sword dissolving as she lost focus. Nacha stood perfectly still, one hand raised to her throat where the blade had stopped a hair's breadth from her skin. There, she said quietly. There's the warrior. Maggie fell to her knees, shaking. I could have, but you didn't. You pulled back. You controlled it. Nacha towered and lowered her hand. Do you understand now? Do you see how easy that it would be? Maggie looked at her hands, at the place where the blade had been, where she created something designed to unalive. It happened so fast, she whispered. I didn't think. I reacted. Exactly. When you're in real danger, Maggie Drake, when you're fighting for your life, you won't have time to think. You'll only have instinct, reaction, will. Nacha crouched down to Maggie's level. And now you know what that instinct is. When threatened, you create weapons. Deadly ones. The question is whether you can control them. Whether you can choose when to strike and when to hold back. There's a fine balance. She stood and offered Maggie a hand up. Again, Nacha said, "This time I want you to attack me first. Don't wait for me. Don't defend. Attack. I don't want to hurt. You won't. I'm a warrior, Maggie. I've been doing this for 20 years. You're barely 2 days into training. You couldn't hurt me if you tried." There was a challenge in the older woman's eyes. A dare. "Now try," Nacha said. "Create a weapon, any weapon, and attack me with intent to harm. I want to see what you're capable of when you stop holding back." Maggie stood on shaking legs and took a breath. Then she reached for the power within her and pulled. This time, when she sliced the blade across her hand, she didn't imagine a staff or a blade. She imagined a spear, long, sharp, and fast. And she threw it in Nacha with all the force that she could muster. The spear materialized mid-flight, streaking toward its target, and Nacha sidestepped it easily. Too slow, too obvious. I saw that coming from a mile away. Is that what you're going to do with the Nefrith Choltir and his coven? She raised her hand and golden power gathered. Again! Faster! Maggie created another spear. Threw it. Nacha dodged. Again! Spear. Miss. Spear. Miss. Spear. Miss. You're thinking too much. Stop thinking and just act. Maggie growled in frustration. She was angry now and created 3 spears at once. Launched them all simultaneously. Nacha had to actually block this time, throwing up a golden shield that caught 2 spears. The third came close enough that she had to dodge. Better, but still not good enough. I'm one person standing still. You don't know what I'm getting ready to throw at you, Maggie Drake. What happens when you face multiple attackers? What are you going to do when those witches come across the Black Pass to Cherry Hill House and want to take you? What are you going to do then, Maggie? When they're moving and flying, you're not dealing with land-bound witches. You're dealing with witches that can fly. When they're trying to unalive you. She gestured and suddenly the field erupted with golden light. Figures materialized around Maggie. Not solid, but substantial enough. Glowing golden warriors, human-shaped, each one holding weapons. These are constructs, Nacha said, made from my power. They won't kill you, but they'll hurt you if they hit you. And they won't stop until you destroy them. So prepare yourself. The constructs begin to advance. Slowly at first, then faster. Fight, Nacha commanded. Use everything you've learned. Ground yourself. Stand. Shield. Attack. Don't think. Just survive. The first construct swung in Maggie's head with the golden sword. Maggie threw up a shield on instinct, and the blade bounced off. But two more constructs were already on her, attacking from different angles. Maggie created a blade in her right hand and swung, slicing through one construct. It dissolved into mist, but another one grabbed her from behind, and pain exploded where it touched her. She spun, creating a blade in her left hand now too, two swords, both hands, and cut through it. 3 down. But there were at least a dozen more, all converging on her position. Ground yourself! Billy's voice called from the edge of the field. Draw power from the earth, Maggie. You'll exhaust yourself otherwise. Maggie dropped to one knee and pressed her hand against the grass, just like Aita had taught her. Immediately, power flooded into her body from the earth, steady, strong, unlimited. She stood with both blades blazing brighter and attacked. She cut through construct after construct, her movements becoming smoother, faster, more instinctive. Slash, dodge, block, strike. Slash, dodge, block, strike. The warrior's dance that Nacha had known she was capable of. But there were too many. For every construct that Maggie destroyed, Nacha created 2 more. You're still holding back, Nacha called. Stop fighting with honor! Fight to win! And something inside Maggie snapped. When Nacha looked at Maggie and said, You're fighting for Curly. The darkness, even weakened, even diminished by the sweat lodge, whispered, Use me. Use all of me. Stop holding back the shadow. Stop pretending that you're only light. Maggie reached for the dark half of her power, really reached for it, embraced it, and at that moment, everything changed. The blades in her hands erupted with black shadow, not just light anymore. Pure darkness shot through with white lightning, and where they cut through the golden constructs, the constructs didn't just dissolve. They screamed. Maggie barely registered it. She was lost in the flow of combat now, lost in the violence, lost in the feeling of power, surging through her veins and the satisfaction of destroying her enemies. She created more weapons, not just 2 blades, 4, 6, 8, all floating around her, all striking independently. The constructs felt like wheat before a scythe, and Maggie laughed, actually laughed, because it felt good. God, it felt so good. The power, the violence, the absolute certainty that nothing could touch her. Nothing could hurt her. She was unstoppable. She was magnificent. She was, Maggie, stop! Inez's voice cut through the battle lust like a knife. Maggie blinked, and the weapons dissolved immediately. She looked around. All the constructs were gone, destroyed. The field was empty except for the circle of women watching her with expressions ranging from awe to fear. And Nacha. Nacha was on the ground, one hand pressed to her side, where blood seeped between her fingers. Oh God! Maggie breathed. Oh my God, what did I... She ran to Nacha, falling to her knees beside her. I'm fine, Nacha said, though her face was pale. One of your blades cut through, caught me in the ribs. It's shallow. I'll heal. I didn't mean, I wasn't trying to... Yes, you were. Nacha looked at her with those fierce warrior eyes. That's the point. You stopped holding back. You embraced the violence, and you nearly unalived me. Morgana was already there, pressing her hands to Nacha's wound, her blood magic flowing. She'll be fine. But Maggie, the Blood Witch, looked at her. You need to see something. She gestured, and one of the other witches held up a mirror. Maggie looked at her reflection and gasped. Her eyes, they weren't entirely white anymore. There was darkness in them. Actual darkness, like ink had been dropped into water, swirling through the whites, making her eyes look inhuman. And her hands, the silver lines that had been faint yesterday, were glowing now, bright and obvious, running up her arms, her neck, her face. She looked like something between a human and a goddess, between light and shadow. Between Maggie and Kenna. Billy walked up and grabbed Maggie's shoulders. This is what happens when you fully embrace your power, he said quietly. When you stop holding back the darkness, when you let the shadow in as much as the light. He touched her face, turning it so she had to look at him. Do you see now why control matters, Maggie? Why we must teach you to master this before we send you to face him? We don't want you to rely on darkness. Maggie nodded mutely, tears streaming down her face. I know. But I liked it. What? What did you say? Nacha asked. I said I liked it. When I was fighting, when I was destroying them, I liked it. It felt good. I know. I wanted to keep going. I wanted to unalive more. I wanted to feel more powerful. Billy looked at her. I know. What's happening to me, Billy? What am I becoming? Billy was quiet for a long moment. You're becoming what you need to be to survive, he said finally. A warrior, a weapon, a force of nature. His grip on her face tightened so painfully, though. But you're also losing yourself, Maggie. You weren't supposed to give in to the darkness. So what was I supposed to do? Just let the constructs just come at me one after the other, after the other, after the other? You were supposed to control yourself. We're teaching you to push the darkness back. The more you use the dark power, the more you embrace the violence, the more Maggie Drake fades and Kenna emerges. So how do I stop it? You don't. Billy released her. You can't. The power is part of you now. I'd hoped that it wasn't. But the darkness is part of you. If those constructs hadn't have been... He walked away. Ayita stepped forward. The power is part of you now, Maggie Drake. You can't remove it any more than you can remove your own blood. The only chance you have, the only choice you have is whether you can control it or let it control you. Ayita looked around at the assembled women. We're going to keep working with you. We're not going to give up on you. This is why training is so important. This is why we push you so hard. Why we must break you down and rebuild you stronger. Because if you go into Samhain without mastering this, without learning when to unleash the darkness and when to restrain it, you're going to become exactly what he wants. Maggie walked away from the group a few feet. A monster, Maggie whispered. No, Aida stepped forward. The most powerful witch that has ever been. You'll be in the leagues of a goddess. A goddess of shadow with no light to balance her is a very scary thing, Maggie. And you will rain destruction on this world for centuries if you don't learn how to control it. The silence that fell was heavy. Then Nacha, still bleeding, still pale, laughed. Let's not have her funeral quite yet. You're not there yet, she said. You cut me. You nearly unalived me, but you stopped. You pulled back. So that means you still have some element of control. You still have a choice, at least for now. She grimaced as Morgana's magic sealed the wound. Tomorrow, we'll practice again, but this time, I'll teach you to fight without losing yourself, to use the violence without letting it consume you, to unalive when necessary without enjoying it. Can I learn that? Maggie asked desperately. I was very angry when I became a witch. I used my powers in the wrong way. But Billy was able to help me. We have to try, because there's only 4 days left, and you'll face the Nephrathul Tear at his altar, and if you can't control the darkness by then, she didn't finish. She didn't have to. They all knew what would happen. Maggie would say yes, would take his hand, would become his bride. Not because he forced her, but because the darkness inside her would choose him. Would recognize him as its master, would surrender willingly to the power that he promised. And the woman who emerged from that altar, the goddess, the witch, the queen, the bride, she wouldn't be Maggie Drake anymore. She would be Kenna McLeod, the Nephrathul Tear's consort, his equal, his monster. They walked off the field and back to the tents. As they were walking, and Maggie was about to enter the tent, Morgana pulled her aside. Let me see your hands, Morgana said, pulling Maggie's attention back to the present. Maggie held them out, and Morgana studied the glowing silver lines with a critical eye. The power is marking you from the inside out, she said, changing you at a fundamental level. Your blood, your bones, your soul. She looked up. How do you feel right now in this moment? Maggie thought about it. I feel powerful, she admitted. I feel strong. I feel like when she busted James' tires, or when she mentioned one word in her mind, die, and knowing that James was dying. I feel like I can do anything, be anything. She swallowed and scared. What are you scared of, Mags? Inez said. Because I liked hurting Nadja. I liked the violence. And part of me wants to go back and go out there and fight again. Wants to feel that rush again. Aida overheard the conversation. The darkness is addictive. Morgana spoke up. The more you use it, the more you'll want it. That's why blood witches are so dangerous. Why so many of us fall into corruption. The power feels too good to resist. She released Maggie's hands. Tonight we'll do another purification. Don't worry, Maggie. Smaller this time. Not the sweat lodge, but a cleansing ritual. Draw some of that darkness back out. Give you another night of peace. Did you dream of him? No. No, I didn't. What's coming tomorrow? Maggie asked. Tomorrow we go deeper. The trees. What were the trees? They looked at each other. Morgana, Aida, Nadja, and Billy. I saw the ropes. What are you going to do to me? Let's focus on now. Billy strode away. Don't worry. We teach you to walk the veil again, but this time you're going to go farther. You're going to see more, touch the space where the children are trapped, where he dwells. You need to understand his realm before you can invade it. Aida looked up at the sky, at the sun moving toward afternoon. But for now, you rest, you eat, you recover. Let Morgana heal Nadja. Let the paint do its work. Billy came back and placed a hand on Maggie's shoulder. I'm sorry that I walked away. You did well today. Better than I expected. You have the instinct of a warrior, Maggie Drake. The will of a destroyer. Now we just need to teach you the control. What if I cannot learn this? Maggie whispered, if I can't control the darkness? What if it already has hold of me? What if I can't keep it back? Billy met her eyes. Then we pray that Maggie Drake is stronger than Kenna. That the mother who loves her daughter is stronger than the witch who wants the power. That the woman who drove to Cherry Hill looking for a fresh start is stronger than the witch who wants to rule at the Nefertiti's side. He squeezed her shoulder. Because if she's not, if the darkness wins, then we've already lost. That afternoon, Maggie sat alone at the edge of the field, staring at her hands. The silver lines were fading now, slowly, but they were still there, still visible, still proof that she was changing, becoming something else, something inhuman. Inez appeared and sat beside her without saying anything, just sat, just was there. How you holding up? Besides the fact that I've almost unalived Nadja, could have flipped the car, with Curly inside, unalive my own daughter, told James to die, and now he is. I'm great. But you didn't, Maggie. You didn't. But I wanted to, Nez. When I was fighting, when the darkness was flowing through me out there, I wanted more violence, more destruction, more power. But you stopped, Inez insisted. When I called your name, you stopped. You came back. This time. What about the next time? I may not hear you at all, Nez. Maggie looked at her best friend. What about when I'm facing the Nulfreed terror and he's offering me everything and the darkness inside me is screaming to accept it from him? Am I going to hear your voice? Then you remember Curly, Inez said fiercely. You remember that little girl who loves her mommy, who needs her mommy, who is counting on her mommy to come back. And what if that's not enough? I'm just being real with you, Inez. Her voice broke. If the darkness is stronger than my love for my daughter. Inez grabbed her face, forcing Maggie to look at her. Then I will pull you back. Billy will pull you back. Chloe will pull you back. Nacha, Anita, all of us, we will pull you back. Because you're not alone in this, Maggie. You're not. Tears streamed down Maggie's face, mixing with the blue paint. I'm so scared, Nez. I'm so scared of what I'm becoming, of what I'll do, of who I'll hurt. I know. Inez pulled her into a hug. I know you are. And I'm scared too. You're still my best friend. You're still Curly's mom. You're still the woman who makes terrible coffee and cries at sad movies and laughs too loud at stupid jokes. But for how much longer? Maggie whispered, and neither of them had an answer. 4 days until Samhain. 4 days until the altar. 4 days until Maggie Drake had to choose between light and darkness, between being human and being goddess, between saving the children or becoming a witch. And with every lesson, every use of power, every embrace of the violence, the choice was becoming harder, and the darkness was becoming stronger. And Kenna was waking up. The third day of training began before dawn. Maggie woke to Billy standing over her, his expression grave in the gray morning light. "Today will be the hardest day yet," he said without preamble. "Today we teach you what happens when you have no power, no weapons, no escape. When you're trapped and helpless, and the only thing you have left is will." Maggie sat up, still groggy. The blue paint on her face had faded overnight, and she could feel the darkness creeping back in, not as strong as before at the sweat lodge, but present, whispering, "Does it have something to do with the trees?" "Get dressed. You'll see." They led her to the far side of the field, where two massive oak trees stood about 20 feet apart. Ancient trees, their trunks thick and gnarled, their branches reaching toward each other like lovers trying to touch. Between them, someone had strung thick ropes. Maggie had had her eyes on it all night, as had Inez. Maggie's stomach dropped. "No," she said, taking a step back. No, I'm not. "You don't have a choice, Maggie," Billy said firmly. "On Sam Hain, when you face him, there will be a moment when you have no power, when you're vulnerable, when he has you exactly where he wants you. And in that moment, you must be able to draw on something deeper than magic, something more primal." Nacha appeared, her side still bandaged from yesterday's training. "We need to know if you can break, if you can be pushed past your limits and still survive, still fight back. By stringing me up like an animal between trees?" Maggie's voice rose. "By teaching you that your body is just a cage," Aida said, emerging from the group of watching women. "And when the cage fails, the spirit must be strong enough to break free." "I don't think this is necessary," Inez said. Maggie looked at her friend with desperation in her eyes. Maggie looked at the trees, at the ropes, at the faces of the women watching her. Then she looked up at Inez, who stood apart from the group, her face pale with worry. "Please don't make me do this," Maggie whispered. "I'm sorry," Billy said. And he actually did sound sorry. "But we must. Strip down to your undergarments. You need to feel everything. No barriers." Maggie did. 5 minutes later, Maggie stood between the trees in just her bra and underwear, shivering in the morning cold. The women worked efficiently, binding her wrist with soft but strong rope, then raising her arms until they were stretched out to either side, tied to the two trees. Then they did the same with her ankles, spreading her legs, tying them to stakes driven into the ground. And she was lifted. When they were done, Maggie hung suspended in an X shape between the trees, her body stretched taut, every muscle already beginning to ache. "The task is simple," Billy said, standing in front of her. "Escape. Use your power. Use your will. Use whatever you can access, but break free of the bonds. We will not help you." "I can't," Maggie said, already feeling panic rising. "I don't know how." "Then learn." Billy stepped back. We'll be watching. We'll be here. But we will not release you until you free yourself. And we are going to take a 10-minute intermission. And when we come back, we will continue the reading of Cherry Hill. Thank you, Karen, for watching my live for 200 minutes. 10 minutes, I'll be right back. It's 9:21. We'll start at 9:31. Hello, little girl. Nice crowd tonight. Oh, that sounds amazing. Hello, Christy Davis. Welcome in. Oh my goodness, a cinnamon roll. Angela, thank you for sharing the live. So we're getting ready to go into the second half. So if you haven't reposted or shared or put it on your FYF or did anything like that, now would be a good time to do it to keep this live going. Hello, Kitty Cat. Thank you for the follow. Think about Curly. That's right. Time for a commercial. Exactly. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Don't forget, tomorrow night on PFO, we are continuing the Perrin family haunting, The Conjuring. Make sure you don't miss it. Few more minutes. Hello, little Tito. How are you doing? Hello, Jenny. Welcome in. Are y'all picturing this scene in your head? Maggie Drake tied between two massive oaks. Oh, great. Sinking Dreams, thank you for the heart me. I am not. I am having a lot of drainage coming down on my throat today. A lot. So I'm having to drink a lot of water. I had a cold on and off now. It's probably been close to a month. You know, and I almost canceled tonight, and I was like, no, I am going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. Hello, Sinking Dreams. How are you? Thank you for asking, Jackie. You're welcome, Julie. Thank you for liking the live. Thank you, Jenny. I appreciate it. It's fine. I can stick it out another hour. I actually have ordered some honey and lemon tea, and I'm going to start drinking that when it comes tomorrow. Oh, thank you, Hopi Love. 1 minute. And it is time. Yeah, I have them upstairs, but I wouldn't be able to read with them or tell a story with them. Yes, exactly. Oh, yeah, me too. Yep, I am drinking water like crazy. I'm just hiding the bottle from X. All right. Is everybody back in? I'm just hiding it from X. Oops. All right, here we go. We are going into the second half of Cherry Hill. When they were done, Maggie hung suspended in an X shape between the trees, her body stretched taut, every muscle already beginning to ache. The task is simple, Billy said, standing in front of her. Escape. Use your power. Use your will. Use whatever you can access, but break free of the bonds. I can't, Maggie said, already feeling panic rising. I don't know how. Then learn. Billy stepped back. We'll be watching. We'll be here. But we will not release you until you free yourself. Billy! This is not cruelty, Maggie. This is necessity. The Nefrit Cholter will not show you mercy. Will not release you because you ask. You must learn to save yourself. And then he walked away. All of them walked away, leaving Maggie hanging between the trees, alone and helpless, and already beginning to hurt. The first hour was bearable. Uncomfortable, yes. Painful, yes, but bearable. Maggie tried to access her power, tried to create a blade to cut the ropes, but her hands were too far apart, her focus too scattered by the physical discomfort. She tried to summon fire to burn through the bindings, but the power and the fire wouldn't come, wouldn't coalesce into anything useful. She tried to pull from the earth, like a Yita had taught her, but she couldn't reach it, couldn't touch the ground, couldn't connect. So she hung there, trying not to panic, trying to think. The women sat in a circle about 50 feet away, watching, not speaking, not moving, just watching. Inez paced at the edge of the circle, her arms wrapped around herself. The second hour was worse. Maggie's shoulders began to scream. The position, arms spread wide, body weight pulling down, put incredible strain on her joints. It felt like her arms were being slowly pulled from their sockets. Her wrists were raw where the ropes bit into them. Her ankles throbbed. And the cold morning air made everything worse, raising goosebumps across her exposed skin, making her muscles cramp. Please, Maggie called out. Please, I can't. I don't know how. No response. Just watching. Always watching. Billy! Maggie's voice cracked. Please, this isn't fair. You can't just leave me here. Still nothing. Tears began to stream down Maggie's face, from pain, from frustration, from the growing realization that they really weren't going to let her down until she did it for herself. The third hour was agony. Every muscle in Maggie's body was on fire. Her shoulders felt like they were tearing. Her wrists were bleeding now, the rope slick with it. She couldn't feel her hands anymore. The circulation was cut off, leaving them numb and useless. Her legs trembled with the strain of trying to support some of her weight, but the position made it impossible. All she could do was hang and hurt. Let her down! Inez's voice suddenly rang out across the field. Billy! Chloe! This is insane! Look at her! Let her down! Maggie lifted her head. Even that small movement sent pain shooting through her neck, and saw Inez marching toward Billy. She has been up there for 3 hours, y'all. She's bleeding. She's in pain. This isn't training. This is torture. Billy looked at her and smoked his pipe. This is necessary, he said calmly. No, this is cruel. You're breaking her. That's the point. Billy's voice was hard. She needs to break, needs to reach the end of what she can endure, because only then will she find what's underneath of her. Only then will she discover what she's truly capable of. I don't care. Inez's voice was shaking with fury. I don't care about your philosophy or your crazy training methods. That's my best friend hanging there, and you're hurting her. Yes, I am. Billy met Inez's eyes. And I will continue to hurt her. We'll continue to push her past her limits, because in 3 days, the nefrital tear will do far worse. And she must be ready. She's not ready for this. No one could be ready for this. Then she'll die. Billy's voice was brutal in its honesty. She'll die. Or worse, she'll become his. And every child he takes from that point forward will be on our hands for not preparing her. Inez stared at him, tears streaming down her face. Then she turned and looked at Maggie. And Maggie saw the helplessness in her best friend's eyes. The agony of watching someone you love suffer and being unable to stop it. I'm sorry, Inez whispered. Maggie, I'm so sorry. And she walked away, unable to watch anymore. The 4th hour broke something inside Maggie. Not physically. Physically, she was already broken. Was already past the point of rational thought. Past the point of strategy existing only in a haze of pain and exhaustion. But mentally, emotionally, something inside of her snapped. The part of her that asked for help, that believed in fairness, that thought the world should make sense and people should be kind, that part died. And in its place, rage. Pure, undiluted, incandescent rage at Billy for doing this to her, at the women for watching, at Inez for leaving, at the ropes for holding her, at her own weakness for not being able to break free, at everyone, at everything, at the entire blanking world that had done nothing but hurt her since the day that she was born. She raised her head. You want me to break free? Maggie's voice was hoarse from screaming, from crying, from hours of begging. You want to see what I'm capable of? Her head lifted, and her eyes. Her eyes were no longer entirely human. The darkness that had been swirling in the whites yesterday had spread. Now her eyes were almost entirely black, with just pinpoints of light in the center, like stars in a void. Fine! Maggie's body convulsed, not from pain, from power. The darkness inside her, the shadow magic, Aileen's gift, the part of her that belonged to the Nefritial tear. It exploded. Not gradually, not controlled, not careful. It erupted from her body like a bomb going off. Black energy poured from her chest, hands, her mouth, her eyes. It wrapped around her like living shadow, writhing, twisting, searching for something to destroy. The ropes holding her wrists began to smoke. Yes! Billy's voice rang out. Yes! Don't control it! Let it rage! Let it burn! The ropes caught fire, not with normal flame, but with that same green fire that glowed in the Nefritial tear's eyes. Spiritual fire, soul fire. They burned through in seconds, and Maggie's arms dropped. But she wasn't done. The darkness was still pouring out of her, still seeking, still hungry. She reached out and tore the ropes on her ankles, and the shadow obeyed. It cut through the bindings like they were paper. Maggie dropped to her knees, gasping, her body shaking, but the power didn't stop. It couldn't stop. It kept pouring out, feeding on her rage, on her pain, on every ounce of fury she'd been suppressing since the day that James had left her, since the day that she was attacked in her car, since the day that she'd driven to Cherry Hill, since the day that she'd seen James cheating on her, since she'd put on that medallion around her neck. The grass around her turned black, actually black, like the life was being drained from it. The shadows spread outward in a circle, killing everything that it touched. Maggie! Stop! Ayita's voice was sharp. You've broken free! You've done it! Now stop! But Maggie couldn't stop. She didn't want to stop. The power felt too good. The release felt too right. The darkness had been caged for so long, suppressed, controlled, and now it was finally free, finally unleashed, finally allowed to be what it was meant to be. Destruction. The shadow reached the circle of women, and they threw up shields. Golden light from the Cherokee women, protective wards from the witches. But Maggie's darkness crashed against them like waves against a shore, eroding them, eating through them. Maggie! Inez's scream cut through everything. Maggie, please stop! You're scaring me! And just like that, something inside Maggie shifted. Inez, her best friend. She looked at Inez and tilted her head with black eyes. I'm hurting her. I'm scaring her. Maggie looked up and saw Inez standing just outside the circle of dead grass, her face white with terror, tears streaming down her cheeks. Please, Inez whispered. Please come back. Please don't become something that I don't recognize. The darkness was still pouring out, still raging, still demanding more destruction. But Maggie reached for the light, for her father's gift, for the white magic that had always been there, quieter than the shadow, but just as powerful. She pulled on it desperately, and light erupted from her chest to meet the darkness. They collided inside her body, and Maggie screamed. But this time, instead of fighting each other, they wove together, spiraled, became that opalescent combination that was uniquely hers. The shadows stopped spreading. The dead grass stopped expanding. The power stopped destroying. And Maggie collapsed forward onto her hands, gasping, shaking, her entire body glowing with that light and shadow combination. The next thing she knew, hands were on her shoulders, gentle but firm. Billy's voice. It's okay. You're okay. You did it. You broke free. Maggie looked up at him with eyes that were still more black than white. I wanted to kill you, she whispered. All of you. I could have unalived every one of you here. Yes. Billy's expression was grave. Yes, you could have. Do you understand now? Do you see what you're capable of when the restraints are removed? Maggie looked at the circle of dead grass around her, at least 20 feet in diameter. Everything in that circle was dead, brown, lifeless, killed by her rage, killed by her power, killed because once again she had lost control. I'm a monster, Maggie said. No. Nacha appeared beside Billy, her warrior's eyes fierce. You're a weapon. A very powerful weapon, Maggie Drake. The question is whether you can be wielded or whether you're too dangerous to use. I don't know. Come here. I don't know if I can control this. You stopped, Ayita said, dropping to her knees beside Maggie, and pulled her into a hug. You stopped. That's the important thing. And then Inez put her hands on her shoulders. I called you. When I asked you to come back, you stopped. Doesn't that mean that she still has a choice? She looked at the witches and the Cherokee women. That you still have control? Right? Right? Isn't that what that means? But Maggie wasn't sure. Because for those few moments, when the darkness had been unleashed, when the rage had taken over yet again, she had not been Maggie Drake. She'd been something else. She had been Kenna McLeod. And Kenna was something that wanted to destroy everything in her path. Kenna would have unalived Inez and Billy and everyone else without hesitation if she had been allowed to continue. What Maggie had did on that field was something that looked an awful lot like what the Nefrit Choltier had wanted her to become. Is she not just the sweetest? Morgana knelt beside them and pressed her hands to Maggie's wrist. Blood magic flowed, warm and healing, closing the wounds the ropes had left around her wrist and her ankles. The power is growing faster than we expected, she said quietly. Every lesson, every trial, every moment of rage, it is feeding the darkness and it makes it stronger. She looked at Billy. We're running out of time. We only have 3 more days. She faces him in 3 days. Ow! And at this rate, she looked back at Maggie. At this rate, by the time that she reaches the altar, Maggie, I fear that you will be gone, and only Kenna will remain. Billy stood up. Then we push harder. Ayita stood up. Tomorrow, we go into the veil. We show her the children. We show her what she's fighting for. We give her something to hold on to besides rage. Billy looked down at Maggie, still glowing faintly with residual power. Yeah, rage is easy. Destruction is easy. Giving in to the darkness is easy. His voice softened. But choosing to fight when it would be easier to surrender, choosing to protect instead of destroy, choosing to stay human when becoming a monster will give you everything you want. He paused. That's the hardest thing anyone can do. That night, the women performed another purification ritual, smaller than the sweat lodge, but still intense. They painted Maggie's entire body with blue paste, face, neck, arms, chest, back, legs, covering her in sacred markings designed to draw out the darkness. Then they chanted through the night while Maggie lay in the center of their circle, shaking, crying, feeling the darkness, being pulled like thorns from the flesh. It hurt. No. God, it hurt. But by morning, when the sun rose and the women released the circle, Maggie felt clearer again. Not clean, never clean, but more herself. Ow! I don't know why she's doing this, y'all. But by morning, when the sun rose and the women released the circle, Maggie felt clearer again. Not clean, never clean, but more herself. More Maggie and less Kenna, for now at least. Inez stayed with her through it all, holding her hand when the pain got too intense, whispering reassurances when Maggie cried out. And when it was finally over, when Maggie lay exhausted on the ground with the blue paint fading from her skin, Inez lay down beside her. Ow. I want you to listen to me, Maggie. I'm not going to let you become a monster. I don't care what Billy says. I don't care what the Nefrachal Dare wants. I'm not losing my best friend. And I'm not losing Curly's mom. Maggie was very quiet and then turned. You might not have a choice. Then I'll drag you back from the darkness by force. Inez's voice was fierce. Every single time, for as long as it takes. Because I'm not going to lose you. And I'm sorry that I wasn't there for you for a very long time. I'm sorry, Maggie. Maggie closed her eyes. She couldn't explain it. She felt like she was losing more of herself with every passing moment. She was too tired to talk, too tired to argue. She wasn't even sure that Inez's love would be enough anymore. Not against the darkness that was growing inside of her. Not against the rage that felt so good to unleash. not against the power that whispered she could have everything if she just stopped fighting and accepted what she was becoming. 3 days until Samhain. 5 days until the altar. 5 days until Maggie had to stand before the new altar and choose. And with every hour, every lesson, every moment of rage, the choice was becoming less about what she wanted to do and more about what she was capable of resisting. And the darkness was betting she couldn't resist it at all. Dawn on the fourth day came gray and heavy with mist. Maggie woke feeling hollowed out, empty. The purification ritual had drawn so much darkness from her that she felt like a shell, fragile and thin and barely holding together. But her mind was clear, clearer than it had been in days. The blue paint still marked her body, though it was fading, and when she looked at her hands, the silver lines were barely visible, just faint traces beneath her skin. Today will be different, Aida said, appearing beside Maggie's bedroll before she'd even fully sat up. No physical trials, no combat, no rage. Then what? Maggie's voice was hoarse. Today we go into the veil, and I show you what you're truly fighting for and against. The women gathered in the center of the field as the sun began to burn away the morning mist. But this time there was no circle, no ritual preparation, just Aida and Maggie standing face to face. Are you ready? Yes. Have you walked the veil since your awakening? Aida asked. Once, but it was brief. It was with Billy, but it was only briefly, and he pulled me back before I could go too deep. Today you will be going deeper, farther, into places even I cannot fully protect you. Do you understand? Yes. Aida's ancient eyes were grave. The veil is vast. It contains everything that exists between life and death, between this world and the next. And in its darkest corners, she paused. That's where he dwells. That's where he keeps the children that he's taken. That's where you'll have to go on Samhain to free them. Maggie's stomach clenched. I'm going to see them in the veil? The children? Yes. You need to see what he's done. You need to understand the stakes. You need to know in your bones what will happen if you fail, if you choose him instead of them. Aida gestured to the grass. Sit. Ground yourself as I taught you. Root your spirit to this place so you can find your way back. Because Maggie, if you don't, I may not be able to pull you out of the veil. Maggie sat cross-legged and pressed her hands to the earth, feeling that familiar pulse of connection, the earth's heartbeat, strong, steady, real. Go deeper. Maggie tried, and finally Aida said, good. Now, I need you to close your eyes. Let your awareness sink below the surface, below the physical, into the space between. Maggie closed her eyes and let herself fall. The transition was smoother this time, more natural. One moment she was sitting in the field, feeling grass and earth beneath her. The next, she was standing in the gray, the veil. It looked like the same as when Billy had brought her here. Vast expanses of mist, shapes moving in the distance, silver threads connecting everything. But this time she could see more. She could sense more. The weight of it, the age of it, the sheer immensity of the space beyond and between worlds. Ayita appeared beside her, but she looked different. She was glowing with golden light, but here in the veil, she was younger and stronger, more herself than the aged body allowed her to be in the physical world. This way, Ayita said, beginning to walk. They moved through the gray for what felt like hours, but might have been only minutes. Time worked differently here, flowed strangely, like a river that sometimes rushed and sometimes stood still. And as they walked, Maggie saw things, spirits, hundreds of them, thousands, all moving through the mist, unaware of each other, lost in their own journeys between life and death. Some were heading toward light in the distance, the afterlife, Maggie assumed. Some were wondering, confused, not understanding that they were dead. And some were being pulled in another direction entirely, toward darkness. Do you see them? Ayita asked quietly. The ones being pulled. Yes, I see them. Those are the ones that he's claimed. Children. All of them. Children. Their souls are still tethered to him, still trapped in his realm. Maggie watched as a translucent figure, a little boy, maybe 6, drifted past them, his eyes empty, his expression blank. He was being pulled by something invisible, dragged toward the darkness like a fish on a line. Can we help him? Can I go grab him and bring him back? No, he's already gone. Well, then what's the point of this? Shh. Maybe. Not until you face the Nefertiti deer at his altar and break his hold on them. Ayita's voice was heavy with sorrow. Until then, they're his. These children have been his for centuries, from across the sea and here. Trapped forever in the space between life and death. All of them? Not all. The boy that just passed us, he's gone. But there are some that have not passed over yet. They're just existing, suffering. How many? How many children has this monster taken? Over a span of 600 years? Or more? Thousands. maybe tens of thousands, maybe 7 every Samhain. 7 sacrifices to feed his power and anchor him to this world. They walked deeper into the veil, and the mist began to change. It grew thicker, darker. The silver threads connecting things became black threads, and the temperature dropped, not physically, but spiritually. A cold that sank into Maggie's essence. Look at me, Maggie. We're approaching his realm. Aida warned. Stay close to me. Don't let go of your anchor to the physical world. If you get lost there, if you get lost here, you might never find your way back. The darkness ahead began to take shape. Not solid, not quiet, but substantial enough. A mountain, or the shadow of a mountain, rising out of the mist like a monument to despair. The Black Pass. But not the physical Black Pass. This was the spiritual heart of it. The place where the Nefertiti Tear had rooted himself centuries ago. And surrounding the mountain, voices. Children's voices, crying, screaming, calling for help that would never come. Oh God, Maggie choked out. Oh God, I can hear them all. Yes, Aida's hand gripped Maggie's shoulder. This is what he's done. This is what he does. He takes children. He feeds on their fear. He uses their souls to maintain his existence between worlds. He gains the most power and the most strength from the boys. The voices grew louder as they approached. Distinct now, individual. Mommy, where's my mommy? It hurts. Please make it stop. I want to go home. Please let me go home. Help us. Someone, help us. Maggie's legs gave out and she fell to her knees in the gray nothingness of the veil. I can't. Tears streamed down her face. I can't listen to this. I can't. You must. Anita knelt beside her. You must hear them, must know them, because these are the children that you are fighting for, Maggie Drake. These are the souls that will remain trapped if you choose him on Samhain. She pointed toward the Shadow Mountain. Look, really look, see them. Maggie forced herself to look up, and what she saw made her stomach turn. Shapes, small shapes, child-shaped shadows chained to the mountain, dozens of them, maybe hundreds, all crying, all suffering, all trapped, and among them, Maggie's breath caught. No, 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 no. Red curls. A small figure with red curls and a purple dress with light-up sneakers. Curly. Maggie's voice was barely a whisper. She tried to stand, but tried to run toward the child, but Aida held her back. It's not her. Not really. It's a warning. A vision of what could be, Maggie Drake. But the figure turned and Maggie saw her daughter's face, saw Curly's green eyes, empty and dead, saw her little mouth open in a silent scream. No! Maggie fought against Aida's grip. No, let me go! I have to! She's not here! Aida's voice was sharp. Your daughter is safe. For now. This is what he's showing you in the veil. What he wants you to see. The future that he's offering. Or threatening. Depending on whether you cooperate. The vision of Curly faded, becoming just another shadow among the trapped children. Choose him, and Curly would be safe. Refuse him, and you might be next. He's manipulating you, Aida said, using your love for your daughter against you. Don't let him. But Maggie could barely hear over the sounds of the children crying. Hundreds, thousands, over the weight of knowing that all of them, every single child that had been taken, was chained to that shadow mountain, was suffering because no one had been strong enough to stop him. Until now. I have to save them, Maggie whispered. I have to. Then you must be willing to face him. Aida helped Maggie to her feet. You must be willing to walk into his realm on Samhain, into the darkness itself, and bring light where no light has existed for centuries. And then a sound echoed across the veil, deep, resonant, like thunder, but rhythmic. A heartbeat. His heartbeat. He knows we're here, Aida said urgently. He felt you enter his realm. We need to, but it was too late. The mist ahead of them parted, and he appeared. Not physically, not entirely, just a presence, a shadow, a figure so tall it seemed to touch the gray sky, cloaked in darkness that moved like living things. The Nefrith, Joltir. Maggie couldn't see his face. The hood concealed it, just like in her dreams, but she could see his eyes, glowing beneath the cloak. Green fire, burning in the darkness, looking directly at her. Kenna? His voice rolled across the veil like thunder, deep, Scottish, intimate, despite the distance. You come to see my children? How thoughtful of you. Maggie felt the pull immediately. The black thread connecting them, the mating bond, went taut, started to drag her toward them. Don't listen to him, Aida commanded. Shield yourself. Ground to the physical world. But Maggie couldn't move, couldn't think. The pull was too strong. He was too close, too real. They're beautiful, aren't they? The Nefrith Joltir gestured to the trapped children. Each one a perfect sacrifice to me. Everyone a bright flame that feeds my existence. Each one a thread that anchors me to this world. He took a step closer, and Maggie felt heat radiating from him. Not cold like she'd expected, hot, like standing too close to a forge. But you? His voice dropped to something almost tender. You will be different. You will not be sacrificed. You will be my consort, my companion, my witch. The pull intensified, and Maggie's feet began to move. One step, then another, walking toward him against her will. Maggie! Aida's voice was distant now. Fight him. Use your light. Use your anchor. They tell you that I'm evil. The Nefrith Joltir continued. That I'm a monster. That I steal children for cruelty's sake. But they don't understand. I am not evil. I simply am. Like the mountain is. Like the storm is. Like death itself is. Another step closer. I take what I need to exist, just as you eat to survive, just as you breathe. It is not malice. It is necessity. You're killing children. Maggie gasped out. That's not necessity. That's murder. Is it murder when the wolf takes the deer? When the fire consumes the forest? When winter freezes the earth? His head tilted. Or is it simply nature? You're not nature. You're a disease. He laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. Perhaps, but I am an ancient disease. One that has existed longer than your civilization, longer than your language, longer than your concept of good and evil. He extended his hand, that pale, strong hand with the signet ring on his pinky finger. And I will exist long after you and everyone you love has turned to dust. His fingers beckoned. Unless you join me, Kenna. Unless you accept what you are, what we are together, then you will exist forever as well, as my equal, my partner, my bride. The pull was overwhelming now. Maggie was only a few feet away from him, close enough to see the details of his robe, the cloak over his head, close enough to smell earth and smoke and ancient power, close enough to reach out and take his hand. Imagine it, Kenna, he whispered. Eternal life, eternal power, never aging, never dying, never being weak or vulnerable or afraid. You were afraid, weren't you? When he held that blade to your neck in that car. The fear, the agony, the terror. You don't want to feel that anymore. You could protect your daughter Curly forever. Could ensure she never suffers, never hurts, never knows pain. His hand was so close now, it could almost reach out and touch her cheek. All you have to do is stop fighting. Maggie! Maggie, find your way back! Don't listen to her. Stop resisting what you know you want and take my hand. Maggie's arm began to lift. Against her will, against her intention, the mating bond pulling her forward, making her reach out. Maggie! Maggie, do not reach out to him! And then she could hear Inez's voice. Not there in the veil, but somewhere cutting through from the physical world, cutting through the darkness and the pull and the seduction of the Nafrit Chulter. Maggie! Maggie, come back! Come back to Curly! Come back to me! Come back to all of us who love you! And just like that, Maggie remembered who she was, what she was fighting for, why she couldn't give in. She grabbed the black thread connecting her to him, the mating bond, and pulled, not away from him, toward herself, reeling it in, taking control of it instead of letting it control her. Light exploded from her chest, white and pure and blazing. Her father's gift, the white magic, life itself, it collided with the black thread, and the Nafrit Chulter roared. not in pain, in surprise, in satisfaction. Yes, his voice was exultant. Yes, this is what I've been waiting for. This is the power that I need. You are magnificent, Kenna. You are. But Maggie didn't want to hear the rest. She turned and ran away, ran through the gray mist, following Aita's golden light, following Inez's voice, following the silver thread that connected her to her body in the physical world. Then a free tears laughter followed her. 3 days, Kenna McLeod. 3 days until you stand at my altar. 3 days until you stop running, or I take everything precious to you. And then she was falling. Maggie gasped awake, her hands still pressed against the grass, her body shaking violently. Aita sat across from her looking exhausted. The other women surrounded them in a protective circle, their hands linked, maintaining some kind of shield. And Inez was there, kneeling beside Maggie, shaking her shoulders. You're back, Inez sobbed. Thank God you're back. I thought we had lost you. You were gone for so long, and all I could see was gray. The children, Maggie choked out. You did the children. I saw them. I heard them. They are so many. I know. Aita's voice was heavy. Now you know what you're fighting for, Maggie Drake. Now you understand the stakes. Maggie looked at her hands and saw they were glowing, both light and shadow woven together, more balanced than they'd ever been, because she'd used both in the veil to resist him. The light to break its hold, the dark to survive his realm, but together, both together, to stay herself. He almost had you, Aita said quietly. Another moment and you would have taken his hand. You would have been pulled fully into his realm, and we would not have been able to bring you back. But I didn't. Maggie looked up at her. I heard your voices. I heard you calling me, and I remembered. I chose to come back. This time, Natcha said from the circle, but he's getting stronger. The closer you get to Samhain, the stronger the blonde becomes, the harder it will be to resist. Billy appeared and crouched beside Maggie. What did you see? Everything. Maggie's voice shook. The children, thousands of them, trapped, suffering, and Curly. He showed me Curly. Showed me what would happen if I refuse him. Or what might happen, I don't know. But Billy, she grabbed his arm. I have to save them. All of them. I can't let them stay there. I can't. Then you know what you must do on Samhain, Billy said. You must walk into his room, find the first child he ever took, the foundation of his power, free her soul, and the rest will follow her. But how? Maggie asked desperately. How do I find her? How do I free her? How do I do any of this without becoming what he wants me to be? Billy was quiet for a long moment. I don't know, he admitted. But we have 3 more days to teach you everything we can. 3 more days to prepare you, to strengthen you, to give you every possible tool and weapon and skill that you might need. He helped her to her feet. And then we pray that it's enough. That night, Maggie couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she heard them, the children, crying, screaming, begging for help. And she saw Curly's face among them, empty, dead, trapped. Inez lay beside her in a cot in the cabin, but Maggie could tell she wasn't sleeping either. Do you think I can do it? Maggie whispered it into the darkness. Do you think I'm strong enough to save them? I think you're the only one who can, Inez said quietly. But Maggie, she rolled over to face her. Promise me something. Promise me that no matter what he offers you, no matter how tempting it is, that you're going to remember Curly. You'll remember me. You'll remember who we are. You'll remember your mom and your sister. Maggie was quiet. The thing is that part of her did want what the Rachel Tear was offering. Eternal life, eternal power, the ability to never be defenseless again. And the only thing standing between her and that future was her own humanity, a humanity that was eroding more with every passing day. 3 days until Samhain. 3 days until the altar. 3 days until Maggie had to walk into darkness and choose between saving the children or becoming the Dark Witch. And in the black past, the Rachel Tear smiled beneath his hood because he'd seen her face when she looked at the trapped children, had felt her horror, her desperation, her determination to save them, and he knew that her compassion would be her downfall. Knew that her desire to protect would make her vulnerable. Knew that when she stood at his altar on Samhain, when she had to choose between taking his hand and saving those children, she would choose him. Because he would offer her the only thing she truly wanted, the power to save everyone she loved. And all it would cost was her soul. 3 days, Kenna, he whispered into the darkness, hovering above her tent. 3 days until you understand that there is no other choice. 3 days until you become mine. Inez woke to the sound of buzzing. Not an insect, not an alarm, a phone vibrating against wood. She blinked in the gray pre-dawn light filtering through the tent window and listened. The buzzing stopped, then started again a few seconds later. Beside her, Maggie slept fitfully, her face still marked with faint traces of blue paint, her breathing shallow and troubled even in sleep. She'd finally dropped off around 3 in the morning, after lying awake for hours, and Inez wasn't about to wake her. The buzzing continued. Inez carefully extracted herself from the blankets and padded barefoot in the cabin's small kitchen. Maggie's phone sat on the counter, the screen lighting up with each vibration. Graham Sinclair. Calling. Again. Inez watched the call go to voicemail, and immediately the screen lit up with a text notification. Then another, and another. Jesus, Inez muttered, picking up the phone. She shouldn't look. She knew she shouldn't look. This was Maggie's phone, Maggie's privacy, Maggie's... But the preview text on the locked screen made her breath catch. Graham. Please, Maggie. Just tell me that you're alive. That's all I need. Just tell me you're okay. Inez's thumb hovered over the screen. I shouldn't, she thought. This isn't my business. Maggie would be furious if she knew I was even looking at her phone. But another text came through then. Graham. It's been 4 days. No word, no response. I'm losing my mind here. Please, Maggie. 4 days. 4 days since they driven to Tennessee for the training. 4 days of no contact with the outside world. No calls, no texts, just Maggie and the training and the desperate attempt to prepare her for what was coming. And Graham had been trying to reach her the entire time. Inez unlocked the phone. She knew Maggie's passcode, had known it since they were teenagers in college, and opened the messages. What she saw made her heart clench. Dozens of messages, stretching back over 4 days. Graham, good morning. Hope you're having a good day with Curly. Call me when you get a chance. That was from 4 days ago, before everything, when Maggie had still been in Cherry Hill House. Graham, haven't heard from you. Everything okay? I thought you were going to tell me when you got back to Cherry Hill. Graham, Maggie, are you there? Graham, starting to worry here. Please respond. And then the messages became more desperate. Graham, I drove by Cherry Hill House. Your Bronco is gone. Where are you? Graham, called the diner. I've called all over asking for you. Maggie, what's going on? Graham, I know we left things weird the other night, but please don't shut me out. Talk to me. Graham, Maggie, I'm not trying to be controlling. I'm just worried about you. You disappeared. No word. Nothing. Just let me know that you're safe. Graham, Maggie, please. I'm begging you. Just send me something. Anything. Even just, I'm okay. That's all I need. Graham, it's been 4 days. I can't sleep. I can't focus. I can't stop thinking about something terrible has happened to you. Maggie, please respond to me. Graham, I don't know where you are. But Maggie, I need to know that you're alive. Please, Maggie. Please. The last message had come through 10 minutes earlier. Inez stared at the screen, her heart aching, because she could hear it in the messages. The genuine fear that Graham had for Maggie, the desperation, the kind of worry that came from actually caring about someone. Does he know what she is? What's happening to her? Is he involved within a freakful terror, or is he just a man who cares? Maggie didn't trust him at this point. Hadn't trusted him since she'd said the name and felt him tense. Since she'd tested him and gotten an uncertain response. Come here. But these messages, these didn't sound like someone who was manipulating her. Someone who was working for a dark entity. Someone who had uncertain ulterior motives. They sounded like someone who was terrified. Inez looked back toward the bedroom where Maggie slept. She'd be furious if I responded, she thought. She'd feel like I violated her privacy, crossed a line. But another part of her thought, doesn't he deserve to know? Doesn't he deserve to know she's alive? That she's not lying dead in a ditch somewhere? And maybe having someone like Graham on their side would help. Maybe having another person who cared about Maggie, who wanted to protect her, wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Even if Maggie didn't trust him yet, even if there was a chance he was somehow connected to all of this. Inez took a deep breath and opened the message thread. Her thumbs hovered over the keyboard. Again, don't do this, she thought. This isn't your place. This is Maggie's decision. But Graham was calling again, the phone buzzing in her hand, his name lighting up on the screen. Graham Sinclair, Inez declined the call and started typing. 2 words. That's all she'd given. 2 words to let him know that Maggie was alive. She's okay. She stared at the message for a long moment, her heart pounding. Then she pressed send. The message went through with the soft whoosh, and immediately 3 dots appeared. He was typing. Inez watched, her stomach twisting with anxiety as the dots disappeared and reappeared, like he was writing messages and deleting them, trying to figure out what to say. Finally, a message came through. Graham, thank God. Is she safe? Where are you? Inez bit her lip. She shouldn't respond again, shouldn't engage. 2 words was already more than she should have done, but her thumbs moved anyway. She's safe, Graham. She's training. Can't talk. We'll be back in a few days. Another pause. More typing dots. Graham. Training. Training for what? Inez's blood ran cold. She typed carefully. I've said too much. Just know that she's all right. Graham. Is she okay? Really okay, or are you just telling me what I want to hear? Inez looked back toward the bedroom again. And she typed. Maggie's not okay. She's losing herself. She's becoming something else. Every day more of her slips away. And I don't know if we can save her, Graham. But she's fighting and she's strong. Graham, can I help? Is there anything I can do? Inez stared at that message for a long time. She didn't know if Graham Sinclair was a friend or an enemy. Didn't know if bringing him into this would save Maggie or doom her, but she knew one thing. Maggie was going to face the Nephrital tear in 3 days, and she was going to need every ally she could get, even the one she didn't fully trust. Will she talk to me? If I call back, will she talk to me? I don't know. Maybe. I'll talk to her when she wakes up. Graham, please do. Please tell her I'm here. Tell her I want to help. Tell her... The tiny dots appeared and disappeared several times. Graham, tell her I care about her. More than she probably realizes. Inez felt tears burning in her eyes. She typed, God, I hope you're one of the good ones, Graham, because she needs someone like you. Needs someone who isn't me or Billy or the Coven. Someone who sees her as more than just a weapon or a bride or a balance of light and dark. I do see her for what she is. I'll tell her, Graham, thank you. And Inez, thank you for letting me know she's alive. You're welcome. Inez set the phone down and leaned against the counter, her hand shaking. Maggie was going to kill her. She's going to wake up and see those messages and absolutely lose her mind. But maybe that would be okay. Maybe having something to be angry about, something normal and human and not related to ancient darkness or child sacrifices or choosing between her humanity. Maybe that reminder of who she was. Who she'd been before all this started. Just Maggie Drake, a woman, a wife, a mother, an author, a person who deserved to be cared about. Not Kenna. Not a weapon. Not a witch. Just Maggie. The sun began to rise. casting golden light through the windows, and in the bedroom Maggie stirred, her eyes opening slowly. Inez picked up the phone and went to meet her, her heart pounding with what she'd done, with what Maggie was about to find out. Morning, Inez said as Maggie emerged from the bedroom looking exhausted and hollow. How'd you sleep? Terrible. I kept hearing them. The children. Maggie ran her hands through her hair every time I closed my eyes. I'm sorry. Maggie noticed Inez's expression. What's wrong? You look nervous. Inez took a breath. Promise me that you're not going to be mad at me. Maggie just looked at her. Your phone was ringing this morning, and I know that you're not looking at it while you're in training, but well, I saw that Graham's been calling, texting you a lot. Maggie's expression hardened immediately. And I looked. I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't have, but Maggie, he's desperate. He's calling over and over. Messages saying he couldn't sleep, couldn't focus, was terrified that something had happened to you. So? Maggie's voice was cold. So I texted him back. Inez held up the phone. Just 2 words. I'm okay. That's all. Maggie stared at the phone like it was a snake. You did what? He deserved to know that you were alive. He was asking if you were alive. That's not your decision. Maggie's voice rose. That's not your place. I don't trust him, Nez. I don't trust him. And you just told him? I told him you're okay. That's all. But Maggie, Inez held her ground. Read the messages. Really read them and tell me that sounds like someone who wants to hurt you. Okay, I wrote more than just, I'm okay. But I felt like he really needed to hear that. Maggie grabbed the phone and scrolled through the messages, her jaw tight. Inez watched her face as she read, watched the anger war with something else, something softer. He has been looking like crazy for you, Maggie. Just send him a text. I mean, I know they don't want anything breaking your concentration, but just send him something to let him know that you're all right. Inez, are you an idiot? When I mentioned the name Nofrith Cholter, Graham froze. What if he's the one? What if he's coordinating with the coven? What if he's reporting back to them? To him? That's possible, Inez agreed. Or maybe he's just a man who cares about you and is scared of his mind because you disappeared without a word. Maggie set the phone down, her hand shaking. I don't have time for him right now. I can't worry about Graham and whether I can trust him and what he wants. I have 3 days before those witches come for me. 3 days to prepare. 3 days before... Her voice broke. 3 days, supposedly because I'm going to fly to the Black Pass? And I'm going to confront the Nofrith Cholter, and I'm going to walk into darkness, and I'm going to save these children, and probably become a monster. Inez walked toward her. Stay away from me. I thought you were on my side. You shouldn't have talked to Graham. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have texted him. It wasn't my place. I heard the fear in those messages and I thought that he deserved to know. Maggie was quiet for a long moment. her face pressed against Inez's shoulder. He just wants to know that you're safe. If he could help. He said to tell you that he cares about you more than you probably realize, and that's not going to, he's not going to let you face this alone. Maggie's eyes were filled with tears. I don't know what to do with that, she whispered. I don't know if I can trust it, if I can trust him. I don't know if I can trust anyone. I don't know if I can trust you. I know. I want to trust him. I want to believe that someone like Graham could actually care. She couldn't finish. Hold on to the part of you that still believes that people can be good, that still wants to trust. Why? Because that's the part that the neutral tear cannot touch. That's the part that makes you human, Maggie. That makes you Maggie Drake. Inez's voice was fierce. Yeah. I told him that you were okay. Don't let the neutral tear take Maggie Drake away. Don't let the darkness take you. Maggie nodded, wiping her eyes. We should get ready, she said finally. Billy will be waiting. 3 days. 3 days left. Oh, God. 2. It's 2 days, Inez. Yeah, it is. Inez walked out of the tent and Maggie picked up her phone and stared at Graham's last message. Tell her I care about her, more than she probably realizes, and I'm not going to let her face this alone. Her thumb hovered over the keyboard. Then she locked the phone and set it down. I can't. Not yet. Not until I know. Not until I'm sure. "3 days were gone. Now it was 2. 2 days until Samhain. 2 days until the altar. 2 days until Maggie had to choose. And somewhere in Cherry Hill, Graham St. Clair stared at his phone, at the message that said, I'm okay, and felt relief flood through him. She was alive. She was fighting. And in the 3 days, he would find out if the woman he cared about would survive, or if the darkness would claim her forever. And that is the reading of Cherry Hill for tonight. Stay tuned to next Tuesday night for the continuance of Cherry Hill. Who is it? So glad, so glad, so glad. Awesome. I'm so glad that you all are enjoying it. We are coming right down to the wire. Next week is going to be wow. Wow, wow, wow. I know, right? So glad you loved it. So good. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all for the compliments. I'm so glad that you're enjoying it as much as I am creating it. Tomorrow night on PFL, the continuance, night 2 of the Perrin haunting. I know, Julie. I know. It's absolutely crazy. So listen, guys, I'm going to get off from here and I'm going to have some tea, something to soothe my throat. Oh, you're hyped for next Tuesday. I'm so glad. So, so glad. I love you all. Love you all. I will see you all tomorrow night. Pleasant dreams. Bad exit. Bye, White Channel.